DW Africa Link.
Since the start of the year, M23 fighters backed by Rwanda have captured Goma and Bukavu, cities in the Democratic Republic of Congo, as part of a lightening offensive. That means that the group now controls all commercial points in the DRC leading to the Rwandan border. The fighting has this year alone killed thousands of people inside the DRC and displaced many more, according to rights groups. We'll soon hear from the head of the United Nations mission in the DRC. Meanwhile, Rwandans are bracing for the impact of Western sanctions slapped on the country for its support of the M23 rebels. So how could these sanctions impact Rwanda? And is there any end in sight for the intensifying conflict? That's what's coming up. I am Eddy Micah Jr., and you are welcome to Africa Link, the podcast connecting you to the stories that matter.
Africa Link, every weekday here on DW.
M23 rebels say they intend to seize power in Congo's capital, Kinshasa, in a bid to end the killing and persecution of Congolese Tutsis. They also accuse Congo's government of not living up to previous peace deals and fully integrating Congolese Tutsis into the army and administration. For more on this, let me bring in Alex Ngarambe, our correspondent in Kigali, Rwanda. Hello, Alex. First of all, how would you describe the current relationship between Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo? How do things stand?
Thanks, Eddie. As it stands now, the relationship between DRC and Rwanda, we can say it is at its lowest, maybe let's say in the last 25 years, because these advancements have not been seen anywhere before. At least when we talk about maybe in 2012, 2013, that's when M23 captured Goma, the Goma city. That is the capital of the North Kivu province. And they did not occupy it for a long time because they were forced to withdraw after a few weeks. But this time around, seeing that this war, this verbal war, this diplomatic war, and the physical war between M23, that is alleged to be supported by Rwanda and the government of DRC, this fighting has been so grave. And it has seen the government of Congo losing territories, big and large territories. That is unprecedented. Maybe we only saw that happen in the late 90s when Kabila, the late Kabila Senior, when he was toppling Mobutu. But we have not seen the widespread of capturing territories like it is today. So the relationship between Rwanda and Congo, or maybe you can say at the individual level between President Paul Kagame and Tshisekedi, his counterpart in Congo, is at its lowest, and it has dragged on for a very, very long time. We have seen the northern Kivu province captured, and the M23 have advanced towards the south, captured Bukavu, captured other territories in the south. So it has been at its worst in more than 25 years, let's say.
So, I mean, you are talking to us from inside Rwanda, and of course, people in the country, they are watching what's going on. What do they understand about the end game here, right? I mean, we're talking about the M23 rebels. It's a well-known fact that they are backed by Rwanda. And, you know, they've talked about advancing all the way to Kinshasa to seize power. I mean, what's the end game here?
The people in Rwanda, how they view this, basically, let me say that the majority of the people who come out to speak, or those, the elites who speak through the media, the mainstream media, the social media, it is not a surprise that they have tried to pick the narrative of the government. So they come out in defense of the government. What the government says, it is the narrative that they are taking. And the government is saying that it is not true. Rwanda is not in Congo. It does not have boots on the ground in Eastern DRC. And rather instead, it is Rwanda that is threatened by the genocidal forces that have been in Congo for the last 30 years. So Rwanda says actually it is the victim in all of this conflict. And Congo should address its insecurity is. Congo should address its instability and try to disarm all the militia groups in Congo, including the genocidal forces in Congo that threaten the security. So that's what the people in Rwanda are saying. That's what the debate is all about. They are blaming Congo rather than saying that Rwanda has any involvement in DRC.
Okay. I mean, all this is really putting Rwanda under the spotlight. You know, the rest of the world is reacting to how a Rwanda-backed rebel group is advancing towards the capital of another country and taking over cities in the process. And so some of them are talking about sanctions or have introduced sanctions against Rwanda. Let's talk about realistic impacts of how it could hit Rwanda, right? We're talking about the health sector. We're talking about the agriculture sector, right? How could it be hit?
Oh, yes, because now we see we import a lot of agricultural inputs in terms of fertilizers, in terms of pesticides, in terms of technological equipments that enhance our agriculture and boosts harvest. So if such imports are also limited from coming to Rwanda, if we don't have enough money to import these agricultural imports, so we can see a reduced harvest. We can see a danger in terms of food insecurity, because at the end of the day, still Rwanda, yes, we are doing well in terms of agriculture, but we are not self-sufficient again. There, right. Because of these climate change factors, you find that people lose harvests not as much as they would have. So there is still a challenge of food, and our neighboring countries, we are not trading with them. We used to trade with Eastern DRC. We used to trade with Burundi. The borders have been closed. Prior to that, the Rwanda-Uganda border had been closed for 4 years. We are not trading. So it is going to really affect in terms of agriculture, in terms of production, in terms of creating wealth for people.
Right.
Yeah.
So do you find that the pressure of sanctions from especially Western countries is somehow making President Kagame tone down a little bit, or, you know, slow down in some ways his advancement, or, you know, his support for the M23 rebels as they advance inside the country, or has he not done anything at all?
Well, I think for so many years, I think he has had a strategic working relationship with these European countries, and I think he wouldn't want to lose them. Although over the years, he has created other strategic allies, especially maybe in China, in the Arab world, especially Qatar. Qatar has been heavily investing in Rwanda's aviation, investing in Rwanda's infrastructure. So yes, he's going to consider a trade-off. Is he willing to lose the strategic allies in Europe and America? Yes, he has created other strategic alliances. Are they enough? Would he want to have both, as it has been? So it is going to play a very big factor and a very big role in how he approaches the DRC conflict. So we are yet to see, because up to now, he only says that he is a victim of what is happening in Congo. Even these sanctions, they are victimizing him. Right. He's not involved with Congo.
Right. I mean, only time will tell. And then talking about, so to speak, playing the victim game, it's unfortunately the ordinary Rwandan that could suffer from all of this, right? I mean, are people feeling the pinch already, or afraid of feeling the pinch sooner than later?
So far, I think they are not feeling the pinch. It is just the other day when these sanctions were threatened or were imposed. They are not yet worried, but of course, in the long run, of course, the threat is there and the concern is there. So the ordinary people, they don't know what the future holds, because, yes, the government, of course, will come out and say, don't worry, we are in control, we are in charge, we are in charge of the economy, because the economy has been growing and we have been investing, we have reserves, we have everything we need, don't worry. But again, at the end of the day, people might lose their jobs. People have been working in these sectors, which sectors have been financed by these donor countries. So there's always going to be that fear and concern from the ordinary people.
We'll have to wait and see how things pan out. But Alex Ngarambe, our correspondent in Kigali, Rwanda, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much, Eddy.
Get the stories that are shaping the continent here on Africa Link.
According to experts from the United Nations Monitoring Group, the M23 rebels are backed by nearly 4,000 soldiers from Rwanda. The UN Security Council has called on the Rwanda forces to stop supporting M23 and immediately withdraw from the DRC. Rwanda denies the allegations and says it will protect its national interest. Joining me now is Bintou Keita. She is the head of the United Nations Organization Stabilization Mission in the Democratic Republic of Congo. That's the peacekeeping mission, also known as MONUSCO. Hello, madam. Fighting in the DRC has intensified over the past few weeks. How would you describe the current situation on the ground?
Well, thank you for inviting me for this interview. Just to say, from 4th to 5th January up to now, we've seen an acceleration of the expansion of territories taken and controlled by M23, supported by Rwandan Defense Forces. And this has created a lot of movement of the population. And so we have a high number of displaced people in Goma, but in and around Goma, but also the same, which has now come into effect in South Kivu with Kavumu and Bukavu and Kamanyola and some other locations in South Kivu. And when we look at the overall situation, we see that this is not stopping at South Kivu. We look at movement also towards Tanganyika. And we are worried that if they are heading to Uvira, then we will have to be worried about Tanganyika, Kalemi in particular. So the implication for the people is absolutely tremendous in terms of suffering. Because we already had, we have been in this situation for over 3 years now, and this last acceleration is really problematic.
Right. I mean, it definitely is problematic. The humanitarian crisis is piling up. You recently briefed the UN Security Council. What was your message?
The first message is ceasefire. It's absolutely important, and cessation of hostilities. This is the second. And hostilities in all aspects of it are the guns have to become silent. And they have to become silent because this has been going on for too long. And we need to ensure that the people, and particularly the displaced people in and around in North Kivu and now in South Kivu, can benefit from the relief that the humanitarian workers are going to provide to them. And if indeed they have to the possibility to return to their homes, if they still have homes, they should be accompanied to be able to return, and in a voluntary manner and in a dignified manner, and with all the respect for safety and security as they are doing so.
Right.
And they also need to have access to basic social services. And I'm talking about health primarily, but also education, because overall, it has been for 3 years in a row that it's very difficult for the children and young people in the internally displaced site to access education.
Right. As you say, it's not even just 3 years, right? I mean, this is a conflict that has been going on for over a decade. And you've, spoken to the UN Security Council. How optimistic are you that they will actually do something about it this time?
Well, when we look at the mobilization recently, because you talked about acceleration, and I do agree with the term acceleration of the expansion of territories and controlling territories. It's about the fact that more and more member states are mobilized in different configuration on the continent, in the European Union, but also the Security Council is mobilized and has provided now a landmark resolution, which is the resolution 2773, which clearly spells out what needs to happen in terms of the initiative, the peace processes for this to stop. and also that we are able to return to normalcy for the sovereignty and the territorial integrity of DRC, and at the same time ensuring that the state presence, the state authority in all the areas that are now controlled by a particular group is coming back to the authorities. So I think the determination is visible now. It's visible through this resolution in the Security Council. It's also visible with the 7th February resolution adopted unanimously, which is establishing two mechanisms. One, which is the fact-finding mission, which I think is absolutely critical. And then there is also afterward the establishment of a commission of inquiry, independent, and this is important, to establish to what extent from January 22 up to now, the exactions and the abuses of human rights are established, and then we can have accountability and responsibility and bring those responsible to justice.
Right. Rwandan President Paul Kagame says his troops are acting in self-defense against hostile groups based in Congo. What do you make of that?
Well, as MONUSCO, and again, I'm going to focus only on the work that I'm doing here, my role is to support the national security forces against armed group in Eastern DRC and protect the civilian in that context. So this is what I'm here to do. And any particular comments on what head of state is stating or not stating is not my responsibility.
Okay, steering clear of that then. Fair enough. Given the M23's stated ambitions to reach Kinshasa and, the involvement of Rwandan forces plus troops from several African countries, you have Burundi, Uganda, South Africa, what is the risk of the conflict escalating into a broader regional crisis?
Right now, if we look at the deployments of the various forces, first of all, some of them are deployed invited by DRC. And when we look at Burundi, they are also deployed as part of a bilateral agreement with DRC. So when we talk about conflagration or escalation, is what the M23 RDF movement and expansions going into directions where you also have other bilateral military forces and looking at the borders. And when you are looking at the borders, one may wonder if by, the way the movements are done from one border to the other, we are not going to see escalation in the neighboring countries. And that's what is also under the realm and the purview of the Security Council, which is in a way to also stop the possibility or the potential for spiraling in other countries beyond Eastern DRC.
Right. Well, the hope is that it does not further escalate and, involve different countries in the region. Let's talk about MONUSCO.
And this is why we have all these initiatives and the peace processes going on to stop what is going on in Eastern DRC, but also the escalation of the region.
Right. Let's talk about MONUSCO for a bit. MONUSCO has been accused of not doing enough to end the conflict in the DRC. Again, this is a conflict that has been going on for many, many years. Your outfit has been far from successful. I'm sure you'll be the first to admit, because the conflict, again, is still going on. What have you been doing wrong, in your opinion?
Well, when you are saying doing wrong, in my opinion, I have to say that a number of my predecessors have implemented the mandate that was given to them. And I'm also implementing the mandate which has been given to me. The way the mandate is crafted by the Security Council and insisting on priorities that we have to implement with all the resources available to us, are articulated in three main priorities. One is the protection of civilians. The other one is the implementation of the disarmament, demobilization, and community reintegration and stabilization. And the third one is with the security sector reform. And again, with all of these priorities, we have a partner. We are working in partnership with the host countries, the host nation, and not just with the host nation, with a number of other partners. So when you are asking me the framing of what you have put forward, I leave it with you in your assessment, because for me, this country is where it is. When you look at the history of this country, one has to recognize that, yes, nothing is perfect, but a lot has been done by MONUC and MONUSCO, and still being done. Because again, a lot of the focus is on the uniform component of this mission, when indeed our mandate is beyond the uniform component of the mission. Right. We are supporting the justice system. We are supporting the security sector reforms through the work with the Ministry of Defense and also the Ministry of Interior. Right. We are working with a number of other institutions in the country, and this has proven with results over years. But for now, being the focus on the military aspect, this is where a lot is being riding in terms of the assessment for the mission.
Right. I mean, obviously, it's not me saying it. The people in the DRC, they've been accusing MONUSCO of not doing enough, and some even say in some situations that it got even worse. President Felix Tshisekedi has been critical of the UN peacekeeping mission himself, which forced a withdrawal of some troops last year. The withdrawal has now paused due to the worsening security situation. Was it a mistake, you think, to start removing the peacekeepers in the first place?
Well, when you look at the end game of any peacekeeping mission is at some point to leave the country and to leave the responsibility and the accountability to the host nation. And as a sovereign country, DRC at some point has requested the departure of the mission, and they have insisted on the way the mission would be leaving the country. And we worked in a joined-up manner with the government in assessing how this would happen. And it happens that the first province, when I say the first province, since the critics, the first province that we withdraw from is South Kivu, and we withdrew from South Kivu last year.
Right. I wish I had more time to dig into more. There's just so much to dig into. But in terms of still talking about solutions, what kind of international and regional support does MONUSCO need to effectively implement its mandate and achieve the unified response to the crisis going on?
I believe the peace processes that have been talked about, the Rwanda process as well as the Nairobi process, is absolutely key. And when it comes to the mission, we need first and foremost to deconstruct a number of narratives about the mission and the role and responsibilities of the mission. Because a lot of narratives are built on what has happened years ago with the first or second iteration of M23. And for us, the work of the mission has evolved over time. The country itself has evolved over time. The dynamics in the region have evolved over time. So we need to make sure that we are looking at the reality of today, not the reality of the past. Okay. But it doesn't mean that our mandate has to be different. Our mandate is given by the Security Council, and this is what we are here to deliver.
Right. Bintou Keita, head of the United Nations Organization Stabilization Mission in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, MONUSCO. Thank you very much for sharing your time with us.
Thank you.
Eastern DRC has seen conflict for 3 decades, but the current escalation has sparked an unprecedented humanitarian crisis. Nearly 500,000 people have been internally displaced, many of them women and children. Talks between DR Congo and the M23 armed group are expected to take place in Rwanda soon, according to the Angolan presidency recently. So, can Angola mediate a just end to the conflict? Please share your thoughts with us on our Facebook page, DW Africa. Listen to us on Spotify or wherever you get your podcast from. Don't forget to click follow and subscribe to our DW Africa YouTube channel so you never miss an episode. This show was co-produced and edited by Isaac Mugabe. And I am Eddy Micah Jr. Thanks for listening.